My best friend called it the dumbest idea he'd ever heard. I invested anyway. What happened after nearly ruined me, until it turned into the greatest risk of my life. You ever have one of those moments where you say something out loud and the whole room just stops? That was me, sitting in my buddy Nathan's garage on a Friday night, holding a lukewarm beer, explaining my idea for an app that helps small-town tradespeople manage their bookings, payments, and paperwork, everything in one place. Electricians, plumbers, roofers. Not sexy, not flashy, but real work. Nathan laughed so hard, he almost spit out his drink. Told me I sounded like a walking midlife crisis. Said it was the dumbest gamble he had ever heard. "You were going to throw away your savings on some blue-collar calendar app?" he asked, still wiping his mouth. "Who even needs that?" I shrugged and told him I had been talking to folks, real people, who did need it. Guys out in rural areas, still managing jobs on sticky notes and whiteboards. I had seen it firsthand. Nathan just shook his head. "Man, you need a real job. Something stable. You are too old for this startup fantasy." He was not the only one. My sister called it a pipe dream. My uncle said I had been watching too much Shark Tank. Even my mom, God bless her, asked if I was having a breakdown. And the worst part? They all thought they were helping, like they were saving me from myself. But deep down, I knew they had already made up their minds about me. The guy who never quite got it together. The guy who always had big ideas, but never seemed to finish anything. So when I told them I had quit my job to go all in on this thing, you would have thought I said I was moving to Mars. "You are gonna regret this," Nathan said that night, the beer bottle now dangling from his fingers. "This is how people end up bankrupt and bitter." I wish I could say his words rolled off me. But they stayed. They stuck to my ribs like bad chili. Because part of me believed him. Part of me had heard that same voice in my own head. Still, I had already made the leap. Burned the bridges. Told my boss I was done. Pulled every last cent from my 401k. Rented out my apartment and moved into a buddy's basement to stretch what little I had left. The night before I launched the first beta version, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like I had swallowed a jackhammer. I thought about every warning, every chuckle, every look that said, "You are throwing your future away." And maybe they were right. But I had to find out for myself. Because sometimes the thing no one believes in, that is the one that changes everything. I thought the hardest part would be quitting my job. Turns out, the hard part was everything that came after. That first month, I worked 18-hour days hunched over my secondhand laptop, trying to fix bugs in a product that barely held together. I had taught myself just enough coding to be dangerous, and not in a good way. The app would crash every time someone tried to upload a photo. The calendar froze if you clicked the wrong day. And don't even get me started on the payment system. I once accidentally charged a guy $300 for a $50 job. I refunded him, of course, but the damage was done. He told everyone I was running a scam. Word spreads fast in small towns. Money dried up quicker than I expected. I started picking up odd jobs, delivering groceries, walking dogs, even helping an old lady sort her garage. I got paid in $20 bills and leftover fruitcake. I said yes to everything because every dollar bought me one more day. Some days, I would wake up and wonder what the hell I was doing. I was 34 years old, living in a half-finished basement with a leaky pipe above my mattress. My socks never matched, my diet was instant noodles and gas station coffee, and I had not been on a real date in almost a year. There was a moment, 2 in the morning, mid-December. I was sitting in a diner, laptop open, hoodie pulled tight against the cold draft, trying to rewrite some busted code. My hands were trembling from too much caffeine and not enough sleep. A waitress walked by and asked if I was okay. I nodded, lied through my teeth, and said I was just working on something big. She smiled like she had heard it before. People started to treat me different. Nathan stopped inviting me over. Said I was always stressed and not fun anymore. My mom left voicemails telling me she had seen a help wanted sign at the hardware store near her house. My sister sent me a job listing for an entry-level office assistant position with a little winking emoji at the end. I was broke, tired, alone, and worse, the idea I had sacrificed everything for, it still was not working. Each week, I told myself this would be the one where I finally broke through. But the downloads never came. No one shared it. No traction, no buzz, just silence. One night, after another string of errors forced me to scrap days of work, I slammed the laptop shut and buried my face in my hands. I sat there for a long time, listening to the hum of the basement furnace and wondering if everyone had been right all along. I remember whispering to myself, maybe this really was a stupid gamble. But just as I started to believe it, something happened. It happened on a Thursday. Rainy, cold, the kind of day where everything feels heavier than it should. I was sitting in a public library, using their Wi-Fi because my hotspot had died and I could not afford to top it up. My hoodie was still damp from walking there. I was sipping a cup of vending machine coffee that tasted like burnt cardboard, staring blankly at my screen. I had just pushed out another version of the app the night before, bug fixes, a cleaner interface, and finally, a working invoice system. But still, no users. I was about to log off when a message popped up on the support chat widget I had slapped into the app. It read, "Hey, is anyone there? I'm trying to figure out how to add a second contractor to my profile." At first, I thought it was spam. But then a second message came through. "My name's Dan. I run a roofing company outside of Tulsa. This thing looks useful, if it actually works." I sat up straight. My fingers hovered over the keyboard like I forgot how to type. I started replying, answering his questions, walking him through each feature step by step. That one chat turned into a back and forth that lasted over an hour. Dan was rough around the edges, sent a lot of typos, called me kid, even though I was probably older. But he got it. He actually understood what I was trying to do. Said he had been searching for something simple to manage his crews and customers without dealing with bloated enterprise software. He ended the chat with, "If this thing holds up, I'll tell the guys I know." I did not think much of it at the time. I had heard promises before, but something about the way he said it stuck with me. That night, I checked the analytics. 2 more signups, then 5, then 13. I stared at the numbers like I had just seen a ghost. By the weekend, Dan had posted about the app on a contractor forum. Nothing fancy, just a short blurb. "This little tool helped me get organized. Worth a look." And that was it. That was the spark. Suddenly, I was getting emails from small-town contractors in Ohio, in Kansas, even up in Alberta, Canada. People asking questions, making suggestions, telling me what they needed. For the first time, I was not chasing people. They were coming to me. The app still barely held together. Every time someone found a bug, I scrambled to fix it with duct tape and digital prayers. But it was working. It was finally working. I wish I could say I celebrated. I didn't. I just sat there in that same damp hoodie, staring at the screen, heart pounding, whispering, "Do not screw this up." Because after months of silence, something had changed. And I had no idea how fast it was about to snowball. It started with a DM. Some guy named Jared. Profile picture looked like every tech bro you have ever seen. Slick hair, expensive smile, bio filled with buzzwords like angel investor and scaling advisor. I figured it was another one of those fake accounts that follow you just to pitch crypto or sell some ebook about financial freedom. But his message was short and real. "Just saw your app on the TradesPro forum. Got 5 clients asking me about it. Would love to talk." TradesPro? I had never even heard of that place. Turns out it was a private network for independent service contractors, painters, drywall guys, landscape crews. Dan's post had made the rounds there. Folks were recommending it like it was the holy grail. Jared was legit. He had invested in a few companies I had actually heard of. Small time, but growing. He asked me to hop on a call that Friday. Now, let me be honest. I had never done a real investor pitch. I had no deck, no clean demo, just a glitchy app, a couple hundred users, and some half-decent reviews. But I showed up anyway. Hoodie, bad lighting, and a webcam that made everything look like it was filmed in the 90s. I laid it all out. How I had been scraping by, coding at libraries and gas stations, pulling 12-hour shifts walking dogs just to afford server costs. Told him why I built it, who it was for, and why nobody else in the market seemed to give a damn about rural tradespeople. He was quiet for a second. Then he smiled. "Man," he said, "this is messy, but it's real." The next day, he wired in $15,000 as a friends and family investment. Called it gas money. Told me to use it to fix the bugs and stop living like a cryptid in a basement. I did not celebrate. I cried. I had not seen more than $100 in my account for months. That money meant breathing room. A chance to actually work on the business instead of constantly working just to survive. I got a cheap office chair from Craigslist, upgraded my laptop with a used one that did not overheat, and finally bought a coffee that did not taste like burned rubber. Then the emails really started. One guy ran a handyman company in Mississippi with 17 employees. Said my app saved him 2 hours a day. Another woman from rural Idaho said it helped her track invoices without chasing paper receipts. One man just wrote, "You saved my marriage. No joke. I actually have time for dinner again." And that hit me, because this was not just about money anymore. It was working. It was helping people. But right when things started to feel like they were turning, a message showed up that froze me in place. It was from Nathan. I stared at the message for a solid minute before I opened it. It was short. Just 3 words. "You were right." Nathan, my old friend, the guy who laughed in my face, called the idea a dumb gamble, told me I was throwing my future away. That text hit harder than I expected. Not because it was some grand apology, it was far from that, but because for months, I had pictured that moment. That exact moment where the people who doubted me realized I was not crazy, that I was not chasing smoke. I had built something real, but now that it was here, it felt hollow. I responded with a simple, "Hope you're doing good." He followed up, saying he had seen a post about the app on Facebook. His cousin, a plumber in Nebraska, had apparently been raving about it. Nathan said it caught him off guard when he realized it was my project. Said he was impressed. Then came the line that turned my stomach. "I always knew you had it in you. Just wanted you to be realistic." That was the kind of revisionist history that boiled my blood. He did not always know. He mocked me, tried to talk me out of it, told everyone I was off chasing pipe dreams. But I did not clap back. I did not correct him, because I was done proving anything to anyone. The truth was, by the time Nathan texted me, I had already onboarded my first paying customers. Small subscriptions, $5 or $10 a month, but they were paying to use something I had built with my own 2 hands. Every time that notification hit my phone, new customers subscribed. I felt like I had taken back a little piece of myself. I wish I could say that was the moment I made peace with the past. But it wasn't, because right after that text from Nathan, my phone rang. My sister. I had not heard from her in months. She had practically staged an intervention when I quit my job, told me I was being selfish, that our family could not afford another failure, that if Mom saw me living in a basement working on some stupid app, it would break her heart. She never even asked what the app was. Now here she was, calling out of the blue. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Her tone was casual, fake cheerful. "Hey, just wanted to check in. Mom said she saw something about your business on the local news. Give me a call when you can." Local news? I had no idea what she was talking about. I Googled the name of the app and hit search. There it was. A blog article. Headline, "Underdog Tech Startup Helping Rural Contractors Compete with the Big Guys." There was even a picture of me, blurry, tired eyes, hunched over a laptop at the library. Someone had written a whole piece about how my app was helping real people. It had quotes, screenshots, even a map showing how it was spreading across states. That was when I realized something bigger was happening. But with it came something I was not ready for. Because when you start to succeed, really succeed, the people who once ignored you, they come crawling back. And not all of them come with good intentions. About a week after that article went live, I got an email from someone named Elise Tanner. The name rang a bell, but it took me a second to place her. Then it hit me. She was the director of product at a mid-sized SaaS company called Workflow Pro. Back when I was working my old job, before the leap, our team had tried to partner with them. They had brushed us off. Elise herself had sat across from me in a Zoom meeting once and basically told me we were not scalable enough to matter. Now her email was sugar-coated like a holiday pie. She said she had been following my journey and wanted to talk about a potential collaboration. Said there were synergies between what I had built and what their platform offered. I knew what that meant. They saw the momentum. They wanted to buy me out. I agreed to a call, not because I was interested, but because I was curious. Elise was smooth. Polished voice, expensive mic setup, white brick backdrop, like she filmed YouTube tutorials on the side. She said all the right things. Complimented the product. Praised the growth. Said she admired how scrappy and resilient I was. Then she dropped the number. $125,000. Full buyout. They would take the app, rebrand it, fold it into their suite, and bring me on as a junior product manager if I wanted. I almost laughed. That money, a year ago, would have changed my entire life. Hell, 6 months ago, I might have taken it. I was eating gas station sandwiches and sleeping under a busted pipe back then. But now I had something real. Something mine. Still, The number echoed in my head for days. 125,000. That was stability. A reset. A down payment on a house. A fresh start. And yet, something about it felt wrong. Like selling your childhood home to someone who planned to tear it down and turn it into a parking lot. I did not respond right away. I went for a long walk. No headphones. No phone. Just me and the evening air. I passed a small auto shop near the edge of town, the kind of place with a hand-painted sign and a waiting room that still had magazines from 2014. A guy was locking up, wearing a faded cap and a grease-stained shirt. His phone buzzed and he looked at it, smiled, then tapped the screen. I saw it. He was using my app. That was all I needed. I emailed Elise back and thanked her for the offer. Then I turned it down. She responded coldly, said it was a missed opportunity, and wished me luck. But it was not a missed opportunity. It was the moment I realized this thing I had built, this scrappy, patched-together dream, was no longer just mine. It belonged to the people who believed in it. And I was not about to sell it to someone who never did. But saying no to that offer, that choice came with a cost. Because the next storm? It came fast. It started at 9:13 a.m. on a Monday. I remember the exact time because I had just taken my first sip of coffee, still groggy, thinking I might actually get a slow morning for once. Then the emails started flooding in. App won't load. Getting error 502. I've got 3 crews out right now. Fix this ASAP. At first, I thought it was just a glitch. Maybe a bad update or a firewall issue. I opened my laptop, pulled up the dashboard, and everything was red. Server down. Traffic spike off the charts. Way more than we had ever handled. At first, I thought it was a DDoS attack or some kind of hack. But after digging into the logs, I realized something else had happened. That article, the one on the local business blog, it had been picked up by a bigger outlet. A really big one. Someone had syndicated it to a national small business site. Then a YouTuber who covers entrepreneur tech did a video breakdown, calling my app the silent tool revolutionizing rural trades. We had gone viral. And my tiny backend server, the one I was barely affording on a discounted cloud plan, it had buckled under the pressure. All day I fought it, spinning up temporary servers, patching in emergency load balancers, begging support reps at the hosting company to push my ticket up the queue. I was coding with one hand and answering panicked users with the other. I went 21 hours without sleep, ate a pack of saltines and 2 vending machine muffins. Cried once, hard, at 3:27 a.m. when I thought I had lost the entire database. By morning, the system was limping, but it was up. I had pulled it back from the edge. But the damage was done. About 30% of users bailed. Some sent angry emails. A few were understanding. But most just moved on, assuming I was another flaky startup that could not scale. I sat in the dim light of that basement, eyes dry and red, hands trembling, just staring at the user dashboard, watching the numbers fall. For the first time in a long time, I felt it again. That deep, familiar dread. The voice that whispered, "You are not cut out for this." Everything I had worked for, every odd job, every sleepless night, every second I had gone without heat, comfort, or dignity, was slipping away in real time. And for what? A dream? A gamble? I shut the laptop and laid back on the mattress. Just lay there in silence, staring at the exposed floorboards above. I did not cry again. I just felt numb. And I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where it dies. But then my phone buzzed. A message. Just one. It said, "You saved my business. Let me help save yours." I read the message twice. Then a third time. It was from a guy named Marcus. I vaguely remembered him from a support chat weeks ago. He ran a home renovation company out in Kentucky. Nothing fancy, just a 5-man crew and a couple vans. I had helped him troubleshoot an invoice issue back when I was still manually fixing bugs at 2 in the morning. Now he was messaging me out of the blue, offering help. I figured maybe he meant moral support, like a pep talk or a keep going, brother kind of message. But that was not it. He followed up with, "I know a guy. Big in infrastructure. Owes me a favor. Let's talk." I called him. His voice had that calm, gravelly tone you only get after years of working in the sun. No small talk. No fluff. Just straight to it. "I've been in this industry for 20 years, he said. "I've used every overpriced system out there. None of them were made for us. You changed that. You gave us something simple, something that works. You hit a rough patch? So what? That does not make your work any less valuable." I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, silent. He continued, I've got a buddy who runs a server infrastructure firm down in Texas. He supports nonprofits and community platforms, gives him access to stuff most people can't afford. I told him about you. He's in. My throat went dry. In how? Free hosting for 1 year, Marcus said. Enterprise grade. On us. You rebuilt our businesses. We're going to help rebuild yours. I did not know what to say. I just sat there, trying not to lose it. He said he would connect me to the guy that afternoon. And he did. That call turned into a setup session. That session turned into a migration plan. And within 48 hours, my entire backend was on a new, powerful server cluster, zero cost. Everything ran faster, smoother, more stable. And suddenly, the users started coming back. Some had heard I was making changes. Others were just giving me another shot. A few said they were impressed that I had not given up. One message stood out. A contractor from Montana wrote, You stuck around when others would have folded. That means more than perfect uptime. The traffic surged again. But this time, we were ready. No crashes. No panic. Just progress. The platform stabilized. Reviews improved. Word of mouth picked up like wildfire. And with it came something else. This time, it was not an investor, or a friend, or even a user. It was someone from my past. Someone I never expected to hear from again. The name flashed on my screen, and my heart stopped cold. Dad. I had not spoken to him in over 2 years. Not since the last fight. The one where he told me I was a failure. That I needed to man up and stop chasing childish dreams. That the world did not need another useless app or another broke idealist pretending he was Steve Jobs in a hoodie. Back then, I had walked out of his house without saying goodbye. Deleted his number. Blocked him. Figured that chapter was closed. But there it was. His name, his voice, leaving a voicemail like no time had passed. I saw the article, he said. Heard you made something real. People are talking about you. Thought maybe we could talk. Catch up. I did not know what to feel. This man had mocked me, doubted me, told me I would never amount to anything if I kept playing around with code like some punk. He laughed when I told him I had quit my job, told my mom I was ruining my life, said the only thing I would ever build was regret. And now? Now he wanted to talk? He sent another message later that night. This one hit harder. I was wrong, it said. I'm proud of you. I just never thought you'd pull it off. I didn't know how to support something I didn't understand. I stared at that message for a long time. I wanted to be angry, to tell him he had no right, that you do not get to walk back into someone's life just because the spotlight finally found them. But I also remembered who I used to be. I remembered that scared version of me, the one who wanted just one person to believe in him. And maybe, deep down, I had always wanted that person to be him. I did not respond that night. Instead, I opened the app's admin panel. There were now over 4,000 active users. 4,000 tradespeople. 4,000 small businesses. 4,000 lives, running smoother because of something I built. I leaned back in my chair, that old basement ceiling still above me, though now it looked less like a prison and more like a reminder of where I started. This was no longer a gamble. This was freedom. Freedom from their doubts. Freedom from the voices that said I could not do it. Freedom from the version of me that almost gave up. The only thing I had left to do, tell the truth. To myself. To the people who had watched from the sidelines. To the ones who had left and the few who stayed. Because the final chapter was not about proving anyone wrong. It was about showing what happens when you bet everything on yourself. I wish I could tell you there was one perfect moment where everything clicked into place. That I walked across a stage and got handed a trophy. That someone handed me a check with a bunch of zeros and confetti fell from the ceiling. But that is not how real life works. Real life is quiet victory. It is waking up to emails from contractors saying they finally took a day off because your app gave them peace of mind. It is watching the graph of active users climb one notch higher each week. It is getting a handwritten thank you letter from a 7-year-old electrician in Iowa who said, Your tool gave me 5 extra hours with my grandkids this month. You cannot cash those in at the bank, but they matter more than money ever could. Financially? Yeah, I am doing fine now. The app crossed 10,000 paid subscribers 6 weeks ago. A couple investors circled back, this time with real offers. One of them even tried to buy in after mocking me early on. I smiled, shook his hand, and walked away. I never built this to sell out. I built this to be free. And I am. I moved out of the basement. Got a small house with a porch and a backyard. Nothing flashy, but it is mine. I hired a team, just 3 people for now, but they believe in the mission. They know what it means to build something from the ground up. Nathan? He texted again. Asked if I would come speak at a local business event. Said I was an inspiration. I declined, not out of bitterness, just because I had nothing left to prove. My sister finally said the words I waited years to hear. I'm proud of you. Even my dad. We met for coffee. It was awkward at first, but he said he had been wrong, more than once. That maybe, just maybe, he finally saw me for who I was, not who he wanted me to be. But none of them were the reason I kept going. I kept going when I was broke, when I was humiliated, when I was freezing in that basement with no heat and no future in sight. And that risk, that gamble everyone called stupid, that was the very thing that gave me everything. So yeah, maybe I was reckless. Maybe I was naive. Maybe I did throw away my safety net and leap headfirst into something no one else believed in. But here is the truth. Sometimes, the gamble no one believes in is the one that sets you free.